Hey guys, we're back. Not sure if we got video now. If anybody can comment and let us know if you have us back now.
Yeah, video.
We're on, huh? Hopefully you guys find us here. Again, this is Mike at Dive Right in Scuba. Sorry we had to kill the last feed. Hopefully you're still able to find us. Augie, if you want to let everybody know the feed is up again, and hopefully they'll find us and start getting on this new feed. Not sure what happened to everybody, but we are back. And so we have Jim from Fourth Element. I don't know if you guys heard us talking at all, but so we've got Jim, the head cool guy at Fourth Element. We're going to bring him in right now. So I don't know if the software's jacked up or what. Jim, you there? Says he's supposed to be coming in, everybody. I know you can see my green shirt. You like that, Scott? So we just got to figure out how to get Jim in here. Guys, I'm really sorry. I don't know if the software's having a glitch or what. Let me keep trying to get Jim to come in here again. All right, so he's going to try and just shut down his software and try again, and so we'll get going. But until Jim gets here, so we've got Jim from Fourth Element, like I said. It is about 9 p.m. his time, so he's tired. And let's get him. Hey guys, I don't know. Can you see me again? I have no idea what is going on with this software today. It's been pretty reliable so far.
Hey, okay, I'm back.
Hey, can you guys, if you're out there, let us know if you've got both of us. Are we here? Anybody? First one. Someone respond.
I think we're here, right?
Let's hope we got both of us here. Waiting for a reply. If anybody out there can let us know if you've got both of us.
Yes.
I heard a yes. All right. Craig says we're here. Todd says we're here. We're good. All right. So let's start over. Forget everything I said before. So welcome back again for the third, fourth, fifth time here. It looks like everything's working now. We've got Jim, the head cool guy over there at Fourth Element. Jim, thanks for joining us. I know it's around 9 p.m. your time, and you're enjoying a pint over there.
A small beer, but yeah.
You know, I'm here at work. I can't do that right now. Most of our other people are all over the place, so I don't know if they can either, but I'm jealous. So let's start again with your story. I know your story of how Fourth Element started with a couple beers. So fill us in on where you guys came from, and we'll kind of keep going with our segment.
All right. Well, we, my business partner, Paul, and I, we met while we were diving, dive out in the Red Sea, and it's the kind of usual thing that divers do. They get together and they're talking and having a few beers and talking about diving, talking about the things we love. And we got talking about the things that we didn't love about diving as well. And one of the things that Paul was doing at the time was crossing over from being a British Tobacco Club instructor to being a PADI instructor, doing his IDC and getting freezing cold. In diving in quarries in the UK. I mean, you guys dive in quarries over there a lot as well, don't you? It's cold. And he thought he just had the wrong gear. And it wasn't until he actually did his IE, and there were a couple of the examiners who flew over from the States, and he thought, well, these guys must have the access to the best gear. These are the top guys from PADI, so they must know what, they must have access to all the gear, and they were freezing too. And it was that point where the conversation sort of turned to, well, maybe the right gear isn't out there, and perhaps there's an opportunity in the market there for the right gear to be created. And that's kind of where we came from this idea of, let's try and make better gear. Let's try and make better stuff to keep us warm when we're diving. And I'd come from a different background. I'd been traveling the world and diving, and I felt this kind of walk around, you see surfers all over the world, and they've all got their Quicksilver or their Billabong gear, and you know, and something that identified them as a diver, as a surfer rather. And there was nothing for me as a diver that identified me as a diver. And so I had this kind of, I felt this desire to create a brand that said, you know, spoke about who we were as those divers and what we loved. And these kind of two conversations kind of met in the middle, and the rest is, well, it's 20 years of history now. Which is awesome, right? And yeah. I mean, you guys are doing so many cool things. One of them is some prizes that we're giving away, and our comments are already blowing up. We already have 50 comments, everybody complaining about the software, rightfully so. But that being said, guys, so Jim and everybody over at Fourth Element, what we've got, we're going to be giving away for your questions, so keep those questions coming. They've got their new XCore leggings, and obviously you guys have had the XCore vest. It's another layering option, and so they're going to be giving away a set of those. And new, guys, this is a new product alert for you. They are going to give away something that right now they don't even have fully made. Jim has a prototype of one. And Jim, I will let you talk about this. So this is the other prize, guys. So keep those questions coming. Jim, what is it? Okay, so it's something we've been working on for about a couple of years, really. Just looking to solve one of the issues that we've found with. Obviously, we created a Drysuit, and we've been fitting the dry glove system from Cytec, the QCS Oval, which is a fantastic system, but it isn't as reliable as you'd like when it comes around to actually fitting dry gloves to it. So some people love it, some people hate it, and we set out to try and improve it and come up with a new idea, but maintaining what we felt was a superior ergonomic, which was the oval shape, which everybody loves. That, you know, that slim line, yeah. that slim feeling to it, that form factor really makes it easy. All the other dry glove options get rid of that. They change it back to round, which is always baffling to me. Right, exactly. So we spend a lot of time trying to work on making sure that we could get the mechanics of it right to create a good seal, but to create a really simple seal, really simple system. So the ellipse is the system that we've developed. You're seeing it here first, everybody. You're seeing it here first. It looks very similar to the QCS oval system, and that's because it is actually, although designed by us, it's being made by Cytec. So we're working with them as well to produce it, so that it is designed to retrofit into their PU ring, which is glued onto the suit, and then allows you to attach the silicone wrist seals in exactly the same way as you would with the previous system. The difference comes when it comes to attaching a glove, and in this case, you take a glove with the ring attached and simply line it up and squeeze it home, and you're good to dive. Awesome. And that waterproof, the watertight seal is being provided by a very substantial O-ring, so that it's a very strong, it's very strong and reliable seal, and that O-ring is also able to be removed from the suit, and also critically from the glove ring when you're not diving with it, when you're just using it without dry gloves, and so you can protect that O-ring and protect the groove to prevent any damage, so that you know that the next time you come to use your dry gloves, that the system is still ready and it's good to go as well. So it's a very simple, versatile system, but critically we wanted to retain the oval, the elliptical ergonomics there. Makes it easier to reach your valves and makes it much more comfortable to wear. And we're really pleased with the results, and that they come out in about around 3 to 4 weeks time. It looks incredible, really compact, and really keeping the oval feature. I think that's awesome and the best thing you guys could have done. So we are going to go along, guys. That is going to be one of the prizes that we'll give away at the end with the randomizer. Let's get through some of these questions we got here. People saying hi and liking my shirt, and we're back up here. And where we got the first real question. And guys, don't worry, all of you that were letting us know about the feed, thank you for that. We're gonna get you in the randomizer too. XCore leggings, Lindsay is wanting to know a little bit more about that. I think that's been fairly new within the last month, so maybe not everybody knows about that. So go ahead, fill us in a little bit on the XCore and bring on the leggings. Well, we obviously we launched the XCore vest last year as an alternative to heating, and that, it came from this. And this is a years-long conversation that I've been having with various scientists and physiologists from DAN and from other institutions about the potentially the random or at least unpredictable nature of heating. So we set out, with that I mean electric heating, we set out to create a better insulation product, and that's where the XCore came from. Not only did we want to create something that could compete with the heated vest product in that for a small niche of those of divers. Not everybody is going to be satisfied with something that's passive heating. Of course, there are some who are definitely going to need electrical heating. But for the vast majority of the divers who are thinking about heating, we think we have a solution. And insulating the body core much better, retains that heat. And what we then have decided to do is to extend that portion of the body which is being protected. So we've taken the same fabric, which is this incredibly high performance in terms of its insulation properties, and also has a benefit of being 76% recycled. But we've extended that fabric down over the thighs, down over the knees, and also on the seat. But put them into some leggings so that actually the insulating material stays in the right place, doesn't ride up, but kept it thinner in areas where you don't need quite as much insulation. Especially if you're diving on trim and you're horizontal, the vast majority of the exposure is on your chest, your body core, and on your thighs, which is why we put the compression-resistant panels in the Halo 3D in those places. Those are the critical areas that you need to protect, because a lot of the heat loss that takes place is actually through conduction through the fibers of your undergarment as they're being compressed by your dry suit, simply by the fact of air migrating within your dry suit. So those are the critical areas to protect, and extending that down using the XCore leggings produces a much warmer experience, and hopefully a much safer experience.
And cheaper, right, without having to go heated. Todd, his next questions are you guys going to come out with a heated vest or anything? And obviously not, right? You got the XCore. Never
say never, Mike, but I think there is a huge amount of emerging research in that there is so much of an element of risk in there are no tables to tell you what your deco load is going to be when you're heating. You know, nobody's done enough research. Nobody's ever going to do enough research to actually know and be able to put that into any kind of predictable tables. So to a certain extent, it's a bit less of a lottery when you've got this bank of this incredible wealth of data and research that Dan and other institutions are updating and developing, and people looking at these decompression algorithms all the time. They're working on this incredible database that isn't available for heating. So I'm not saying that it isn't a tool, the right tool for the right job. And I'm not saying never, but right now, no, we're not looking into it.
So Pierre's wondering, is there an opening for a P valve in it?
Pardon?
Is there an opening for a P valve?
There is, yeah, there is there, and we're actually just in the process of working with the way we're looking at putting the P valves into all of the undergarments in the future. Is some feedback that we've had from customers that we haven't quite had it right, and people have been saying they moved it, they put their own in certain places, and we've been getting that feedback. So we've hopefully we've responded to that well, and the P valve, the places the P valve holes are actually allowing you to route the P valve in a bit more of a logical way.
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Marcus is wondering what you would recommend for ice diving when he's wearing a tri-lam suit.
Well, my experience of diving in those temperatures, I would say that your best bet would be to go with, I would start with a J2 base layer and then a Xerotherm. Maybe that's just I'm a bit of a wuss, but a Xerotherm, then an XCore, and then a Halo 3D would be my route of choice at this point.
There's a lot of layer in there, bud.
Yeah, well, somebody said that any idiot can be cold, and I'd prefer not to be thought of that way. So I'll take the layering option, and fortunately, the Xerotherm and the XCore, they're not particularly bulky. And in fact, I mean, this is one of the reasons why we kind of got into this game anyway, right from the word go. Back to that conversation I was having with Paul back then. We said, well, let's go and find the highest technology fabrics that we can find that are going to do the job for less bulk and work in a little bit more of a developed manner in the way that it manages air, manages moisture, and especially anything from suit leaks as well. And the high-tech construction of some of the fleece fabrics that we use actively moves the moisture away from the skin, and keeping the skin dry is extremely important. But then it allows you to create a better thermal barrier with a smaller distance.
With less. No, that's a good point. And layering is key. Marcus, what I wear, I have the J2, the XCore, and the Halo. So really, I think the biggest thing to take away, even between me and Jim, is everybody's different. And the cool thing about layering and the Fourth Element product is you can really build up to what you need and what your tolerance is. And in my opinion, there's no one undergarment that's good for everything. And that's why with layering, you can really achieve that perfect combination, you know, write it in your logbook of on this day, this temperature, what I did. And that really will get you to the perfect warmth. And I think even just with what Jim dives versus what I dive in similar water temperatures, that'll tell you. I mean, you may be more, you may be less, depending on your body. So layering is the way to go because you can always add more or take off a layer depending on the temperature. So I hope that helps you. Frederick is asking, he's looking for a system that integrates the glove with a one piece to go under a dry suit. He's wondering if you make something like that. And I don't know. Are you looking for a onesie, Frederick, with gloves or what? I don't really understand.
I think that one of the biggest problems is that sort of the thermal gap, that little bridging that gap here between, you know, your undergarment and your glove, right? And that's something that we took on we made these wrist warmers, is made from the same material as the Xerotherm. And the idea behind that was just to have just enough loft, just enough loft in your wrist to allow air to migrate through your seal. And I don't know if that's the answer that Frederick's looking for, but it is possible now, in effect, to cover yourself from fingertip to toe in the Xerotherm fabric using the glove liners, the wrist warmers, which create that bridge between the undergarment and the gloves. And that certainly is possible. And theoretically, if you were feeling really brave, you could do it without the silicone wrist seal underneath, and then you've got a nice flow of air into the glove. Wouldn't be my choice. I think I'd still take the wrist seals just in case.
Yeah, not if you rip it, that's for sure. Yeah. Dave was saying he thinks he can break that new glove system. Dave, I know you. I think you can break anything. I know the.
Well, some people have tried so far, and everything's possible, Dave. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure it's built well, but Dave, who knows with you? Pierre is saying he loves his Arctic, but he's missing an easy way to route the catheter.
Yeah, and I think that's that really is the feedback that we've had from a lot of people. And the simple answer, Pierre, is if you know how to sew a buttonhole, or if you know anyone who can sew a buttonhole, find the point that works for you, sew the buttonhole, and then cut through. It's well within the reach of a domestic sewing machine, and certainly if you can find anybody that can do that. And we're opting now to put the routing up higher on the waist and on both sides of the waist, so that you can loop up and then down the inside of the leg of the dry suit. And so it is something that we've, especially if you're diving with the one-piece Arctic, and we didn't actually put anything for P-Vals in the one-piece Arctic. We only started doing that with the Halo.
Yeah. And Pierre, like Jim was saying, I mean, a lot of dry cleaners actually do that, and local tailors. So feel free to go in and just tell them you need a little buttonhole, and they can probably knock that out. Mike, yes, an oval system that actually works and keeps it oval. The ellipse, guys, you're going to see that coming here soon as we get more information. And don't forget, somebody's going to win one of those today, as well as an XCore set that we've been talking about with the layering. Craig is saying this may be an elementary question, but can you utilize undergarments under a 5mm wetsuit and make it warmer like a 7? And I know the answer, thermocline.
Well, thermocline is certainly the answer to what would I recommend, but yeah, it is possible. And for sure, there are people who've worn the Xerotherm underneath the wetsuit that I know of for sure, and it does work. It doesn't last as well. I think it's not quite as robust, and I think the thermocline is the product that we developed with under wetsuits in mind, or instead of a wetsuit. And in fact, that also conversely, on the flip side, gets used to gets used under dry suits by some people as well. But that has a membrane that protects the fabric as well, as provides a barrier to the water exchange and keeps the warm water close to the body and prevents that exchange of water, and actually is a bit more thermally efficient underneath the wetsuit.
Yeah. All right. Frankie Weenman is wondering when that system is going to be released. I think you said roughly about 3 weeks, right? He's got a.
That's right. We're hopeful it's going to be We're hoping we should have it by end of March, but we're keeping our fingers crossed for a bit earlier.
Yeah. Dan said he had a dry suit leak and he had his Arctics and he stayed still nice and toasty. Didn't get cold at all. Benefits, and I've heard that a lot, and I'm sure you hear it a lot too from people.
Yeah, I mean, it's managing the moisture, which has been the big deal for us a lot of the time. You know, that the specific heat capacity of water is so much greater than air that if you can just keep the water away from your skin as much as possible, you will definitely stay warmer because it's not absorbing as much heat from your body. And I mean, it's fantastic feedback, and thank you. I mean, it's literally the thing that gets us out of bed in the morning is to know that we're making a difference in those situations.
And before we go on, speaking of making a difference, one of the things that I hope everybody knows, but they might not, is Ocean Positive and Mission 2020. And like you talked about with the XCore, and guys, this is so big of a manufacturer, so I don't want to miss this from our segment as we take all your questions. So pardon me for butting in, but you guys are using a ton of recycled products in a big majority of your products and reducing your carbon footprint and packaging. And I wanted you to talk about it because I think it's such a positive thing you guys are doing for our industry, for our oceans, and you're really on the cutting edge of somebody really taking a stand for that. So if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about that and really filling everybody in on that, because it's such a big, cool thing you guys are doing there.
Oh, thanks, Mike. It started a few years ago when we kind of found out about these incredible teams of divers in the North Sea and in the Mediterranean who were basically going and pulling up fishing net off wrecks and off reef. Yeah, ghost fishing. They're pulling up these ghost nets, and these are nets which are catching. They get stuck on a wreck, and the fishermen can't get them free. They have to abandon them, and they carry on fishing. They're catching anything from invertebrates right the way through to to whales, and they were pulling them up, and then we thought this was incredible. But then the next part of the story was that this material was being recycled and turned into a nylon yarn, and we thought we just have to use this. We have to use this in our products, and that's where our Ocean Positive swimwear line came from. It's like we have to find a way to connect with this story and be a part of this incredible mission. And then that sort of it fired something in us that I think had always been there right from the start, in that kind of real love for the ocean, but sudden realization that it wasn't really good enough for us just to make really great product. We had to do something a bit different with the way we developed things and the way we went forward. And since then we started to look at every single one of our products and thought, how can we make this from a recycled material? Can we find a recycled material? And like I don't know, 10 years ago, probably if somebody said, oh yeah, well I'm using something and it's recycled, you kind of would accept the basic premise that perhaps they were accepting lower performance but having this sort of salving of the conscience, but of doing something good for the environment. But now that's not true anymore. That is old news.
The XCore and helping.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, the XCore is the warmest thing we've made in terms of the fabric, and it's 76% recycled post-consumer waste, and it's an amazing product. And the swimwear it's great quality. It lasts. It's chlorine resistant. It's UV resistant. It performs as well or better than the stuff you make from scratch, and it makes less CO2. And so we came to realize that this had to be a part of who we were. We couldn't just keep making really great stuff to keep you warm. We had to make really good stuff for the environment. And then once you've looked down that rabbit hole, you can't come back. You're on a trajectory that takes you into a completely different way of thinking. So we started to look at our packaging, and that's where our first Mission 2020 idea came from. We said, well, by 2020, we want to be single-use plastic free in our packaging. We couldn't believe how many plastic bags we were buying, and then you only have to see all this awful stuff in the media. That, you know, you're just looking at it going, oh, you know, how can we consciously be a part of this, putting that stuff out there? We have to change as manufacturers, and so we decided to change. And by World Oceans Day 2020, we will have no single-use plastic, and we've been experimenting with stuff made from cassava starch, which is a byproduct from food production in Indonesia, and also a lot more with paper and looking at the unbleached papers and trying to keep the environmental load to a minimum. It isn't perfect, but we have, you know, we're working towards a goal. It's direction of travel, and that has then moved on to inform product development too. So we're the thermic line. We relaunched the thermic line in the recycled material using the ghost fishing gear, and now we've got undergarments in the pipeline with more recycled content, and we're about to launch. Actually, well, we showed it at DEMA, which was, or rather, no, we didn't even show it at DEMA. We talked about it at DEMA. We didn't show it. We showed it at the boat show in Dusseldorf last month. Some technical shorts for wearing over the top of a wetsuit for tech divers diving wet. And we're using a recycled nylon in the lining of those shorts as well. But one of the things we did show and did launch at DEMA was the first certified sustainable wetsuit for free diving. Well, it's for shallow free diving and snorkeling, but it's made from a natural alternative to neoprene, so it's a bio rubber, if you like, and it's actually the raw materials are grown actually in the USA, and then we're lining it with 100% recycled polyester linings, using aqua-based glue, minimal printing to try and create what we feel is the way we should be going with all of our products. That product, I do have it here. It's pretty hard to see on the camera, but this is the surface suit. We're calling this, and as you can see, it's pretty minimal. There's only a small amount of print on there. Most of the branding, I don't know if you can see that. Most of the branding has been done by being embossed in there. So it's keeping the use of harmful chemicals to an absolute minimum. And but the most exciting thing is that it is a sustainable source for the neoprene, which is a very different thing from using it from petrochemical sources, and that's where we want to go with.
It's huge.
With how we develop things. And then finally, I'm talking too much. I realize that. I'll stop to drink in a minute. But is Mission 2020, that became something that we also realized had a great resonance with divers. People understood where we were coming from, that we wanted to try and do something that was better for the ocean and for the legacy of, you know, of us and within our sport. And so we've kind of opened it up and joined forces with most of the world's major dive brands, but also right the way from independent instructors all the way up to PADI and GUE and the training agencies, RAID and other training agencies, BSAC. They're all getting on board with Mission 2020. They've joined in this thing to create something that we don't own anymore. It's not about what Fourth Element's doing. Yeah, we've got a plan, but so does everybody else. So, you know, and together, there's approaching 200 of us now. Together, we can actually make a meaningful change for the ocean, a meaningful change for the industry that, you know, we can actually stand up and be proud of and say we've changed our industry's relationship with plastic. Not Fourth Element's changed it, but I mean, Dive Right and Scuba, you guys have signed up for it, and you know, and signed up to it. And there's organizations all around the world, like I say, Mares, Shearwater, Sunto. These guys are all making commitments and pledges to changing the way they do business, even at that level of how do we package a product.
Right.
But we're also collaborating and sharing, and it's an exciting sort of project to be a part of. And thank you to you guys for getting involved as well.
Yeah, no, it's something that needs to be done. You know, we all have to do our part and everything. So Mike was wondering, and not to switch gears here, but you guys are packing on the comments out there. So again, great cause, get behind, great company to lead the way and everything. So keep supporting Fourth Element and everything so we can keep this stuff evolving, everybody. Mike Wynn was wondering how those dry gloves, how easy are they to pull apart when you're wearing them? Do they come off fairly easy?
Well, I don't know if I can do this demonstration justice now, but I'm going to just see if I can just pop this sleeve on, this sleeve that I prepared earlier. And I can give Mike the demonstration.
And while you're doing that, Mark is wondering, what kind of beer are you drinking?
Today it's Peroni.
There you go. That's a good Italian beer.
So to pop it on, it's simply a case of lining it up and then squeezing it home. Okay, let's see if that's a bit better, is it? And then if you imagine that you've kind of got it on your leg, you can just rest your arm on your arm on your leg, and then with the heel of your hand, you just push. Hang on. It would help if my tablecloth wasn't in. You push like that and push away, and it comes away like that. So it's just a case of pushing it with the heel of the hand.
Seems pretty easy, that's for sure. Matthew is wondering. Go ahead. Matthew is wondering if you guys got some new shoes and when they're going to be available.
I was wondering when Matt might show up. Yeah, we got some. We have the Rock Hopper shoes. They're a 3 mil shoe, and I don't have them here to show you. But they're coming out in about 6 weeks' time. And again, another Ocean Positive initiative. We're using natural rubber outsole, recycled linings on the neoprene, and so to try and create a product which has as little impact as we can manage. But it's designed for it's a lightweight, comfortable shoe, but it still comes with our ergonomic insole, the footbed, which is the kind of signature of our pelagic and our amphibian boots so far, just making it much more comfortable. The same footbed goes in this lighter weight shoe, and it really does still give that feel of it being more like a sports shoe than just a neoprene sock with a bit of rubber glue down to the outside of it.
Good. Yeah, your boots are incredible. I mean, great products. Innovative and everything. I can't say that enough. Todd is wondering about the warmest thermal you have for cold water, Great Lakes diving. And again, then we talked about thermaling and putting it all together. And Todd, I mean, give us a call. We can help figure out what's going to work best for you. J2. And the Xerotherm and the XCore, and kind of wrapping it all the way up to whether you want to go with Arctic Expedition, or even the Halo.
I mean,
it's on you.
Currently, the Halo is probably
by itself,
one thing by itself. Yeah. But even most people would say that it's not quite enough for the kind of waters that you're diving up in the Great Lakes. And
that's how long you're in the water too.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
So that's a big part of it. Mike Wynn is wondering if you're ever going to make an XCore top with arms, not just a vest. Well,
that's there's a few other products in the pipeline, Mike, before that one. But I'll go with never say never on that one too.
Keith, how you doing out there? He's wondering on the new glove, is it just for fourth element suits only? No, it'll be probably obviously for any suit that has the oval system already installed, which is really cool.
That's right. Yeah, you can just retrofit it. Just pop out the old ring and pop the new one in with the seal, and away you go.
And that's the cool thing about really all your products. You know what I mean? They're not specific to just your brand. They're good for everything. And it's really good to allow that to continue with the dry glove system. So Joe Ellen is wondering, she loves her thermocline, but she's wondering if you could do a side zip at the bottom to hug the hips a little more. And not have it so loose. She thinks that may give it a better fit overall for some of the women.
Okay, so I'm thinking a zipper down the side, all the way down the side.
Yeah, around the hips area more, or who knows, maybe even some more elastic or something to help hug that area in.
It's definitely feedback is hugely appreciated, and it's something that I can very easily go back and share with the design team. And Lauren, who's our senior designer, she's really interested in all the improvements that we can make to the product. So thank you for the suggestion. And I'm kind of wondering if I could get a bit more of a specific idea of where that could go, and
I was going to say, Joel, if you want, if you can email us some pictures and we can pass them along to Jim to help get a mental image of exactly the issue you're having, so you can try to come up with, a solution that works for everybody. I think that'd probably help out a lot. Oh, let's see. Hello, cold, snowy Madison, Wisconsin. What undergarment do you recommend for Great Lake diving? We're probably going to have his question a lot, and I know we're a little bit behind on answering your questions, guys. I know, but layers, 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 layers. Any chance of Fourth Element T-shirts coming to the States? Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's a tough one, and there are some coming. But there'll be a few, but there definitely
now, can
there are.
Talk about why that is. I know why. I don't know if is there legality issues with talking about why that can't happen.
Yeah. I mean, the honest truth is that when we applied for a trademark in the States, which we got, but we got it on certain conditions, in that the much bigger company than ours, which was Element. It was Element Skateboards, but they were owned by Billabong. Said, sorry, you can't put the word Element on a T-shirt in the States. And but
they won.
Yeah, well, yeah, they brought their A game, and I think we had maybe a Q game at that point. So no, we decided to coexist quietly, and there are certain rules about how and where the products can be sold, and we're always a little bit careful about making sure that. I mean, it's perfectly fine in a dive store, but we're always a little bit careful about where they could potentially end up being sold, and so we just have to make sure that we stay squeaky clean.
So that's why, Todd, big corporations.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
the small guy. Jason's wondering how I'm assuming he's talking about the XCore, how it works in warmer water, and I think it's a great choice for warmer water to have as your only layer, depending on how warm it is.
Yeah, there's definitely people have been certainly layering it just over the top of an XCore, and not just over top of a J2 rather, and wearing it in warmer waters, and finding that the freedom of movement is phenomenal. But the body protection, the thermal protection of body core is just more than enough to keep you comfortable and giving you great range of movement and freedom of movement on in your arms and legs.
Yeah. Philip has a good one for you. What do you think is the easiest procedure for taking off a dry suit?
Well, I think the only real answer to that is practice.
True, muscle memory.
Yeah, muscle memory. But each one's different, and they're getting used to it for sure. I mean, I think so much depends on the seals that you've got as well. I mean, I've been through dry suits with neoprene seals, and you've really got to work to get your head out, but then the wrists are really easy, and that kind of dictates, to a certain extent, dictates the rest of the routine.
It does. No, really true. John, future plans for electric thermals. We kind of hit on that. Nothing in the immediate future, but never say never. Never. Right, yeah. And but layers. John, their new XCore is super warm, and that's kind of what they came out with as a combatant to that, so you don't have to have the expensive batteries and heated vests, and you can really try to get some of that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you take a heated vest that has a power of, let's say, 60 watt vest. They're kind of like the standard, aren't they? And the body itself has a rough power output of 100 watts. So if you can retain that heat and prevent your body from losing it, you've actually got a greater power source than you have in an electrically heated garment. Obviously, only insulating this bit of your body. First of all, it's not going to be perfect, and second of all, that's not going to give you 100 watts even if you did retain it all. But for sure, it's a pretty effective device at keeping you that little bit warmer.
Does a great job. So Maria is saying hi to me. Maria is Kasha, who's over here somewhere. Her mom. So Maria,
right.
Hi.
Hello.
Give you a little kiss there. Brian, thanks for coming along. Todd's wondering about electric thermals too, but we just answered that. John is new to dry suit diving. What would you recommend for an undergarment? It really depends on where you live and what kind of diving you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing you can do is to look at a base layer and a mid layer and choose and vary those up, and then maybe augment it. But I would say you really can't go wrong from my perspective, starting out with an Arctic and then layering up with it. That is, I mean, that's how we cut our teeth and we got started. And there's so many people that would certainly agree with that all over the world.
I'm one of them. That was my first undergarment. I still use the same one today, even though it either shrank a little bit or I got a little thicker. I don't know which one.
Well, I find they always shrink just over the holiday period. They definitely shrink. What's happening, you know.
Always the holidays. So, John, if you need help picking that, give us a call. We can help see exactly what temperatures you're diving, ask a few questions, really help with the layering. But really, the Arctic is kind of where we tell a lot of people to start, and then layering up and down. And you can really almost hit everything with that. And at least to get started and figure out what other temps you need to try to figure out. Let's see as we keep going on. Michael, the Fourth Element winter hat was toasty warm during the polar vortex. Glad you like that, Michael.
Great.
Awesome. I think I have like 4 of those hats.
Yeah, that polar vortex looked absolutely mean, though. Good grief.
Oh,
that
yeah.
is insane.
Jose is wondering if you guys ever consider putting zippers on the ankles and wrists of your wetsuits to make donning and doffing easier.
Yeah, it's a good question, and we considered it a lot in the early days, and the trade-off of the thermal protection and preventing the water flow we felt was too great to put it in there. And also, you know, I'd owned a couple of suits prior to starting Fourth Element with zips, and they were always the first things to break. They were always the first things to jam and, you know, get full of sand and not work. And so we thought we'd take that kind of potential failure point out. It does make them harder to put on. I mean, the Proteus is famously difficult to get on, but it's also famously warm. Yeah. Xenos is a lot easier to put on, and we designed it with that idea of it being a faster transition suit, lower friction lining, smaller seals, and the cutaway on the ankle to maximize the aperture for getting the foot through. And it certainly has the effect of making it easier to get it on, but it's still not going to be as good as essentially having it zipped up the sides. But it's something that trade-off we felt was necessary to stay on the side of staying warm rather than easy to get it on.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Chris is wondering, what undergarment do you recommend for 72-degree cave diving?
Whoa, 72-degree cave diving. I'd probably go with the Arctic.
Aerotherm or Arctic is what I would be thinking, depending on the guy.
Yeah, I mean, duration is always the tricky thing there. I mean, you know, there's a cave dive can be, an hour long, or it can be 5 hours long, and for sure, the exposure on a 5-hour cave dive, no matter what the water temperature is, can be pretty extreme. So I think that once again, I think start with the Arctic, and if it's not quite enough, stick another layer on for the really long stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Chris, I always tell people too, it all depends on you. You know, if there's 50 people in a room, are you colder or warmer than everybody else, or are you kind of average? So a lot of it is your body makeup too. Bart is just getting into Drysuit diving. He's looking forward to hearing about Fourth Element and their products. Bart, hopefully we've been doing that for you. And speaking of Fourth Element Drysuits, you guys had another huge innovation 3 or 4 years with your Drysuits, which was biomapping. Yeah. And it's such a cool thing. If you guys haven't heard of it or seen it, we send you out a pad. You stand on this pad. You have it set up with your camera. You take a couple pictures, and then Jim and his team, with their software, can tell exactly what size you need. And of course, I'm really dumbing down the process, but it's that easy. And so, Jim, talk to us a little bit about biomapping and the success of that with getting people the perfect fitting dry suit without exorbitant fees and customs and all this stuff. I mean, it's included.
That's right. I mean, it's simply that where we felt we could bring something new to the table was to say, essentially to bring some technology into it, and even being able to use the photos using photogrammetry to take the measurements from that. Those measurements go straight into the pattern software that actually creates a unique dry suit pattern for every single customer. And so but from our perspective, when we were looking at the customer experience of going and being measured for a dry suit, it's a fairly pride-swallowing experience at the best of times when somebody's got the tape measure out measuring you. And from everyone's point of view, from the manufacturer's point of view, from the dealer's point of view, and from the customer's point of view, the worst possible scenario is when it doesn't fit. You had a made-to-measure suit, it doesn't fit. And then the question is, well, did we measure it right? Or did we interpret the measurements correctly? Or did we do that? And the level of disappointment can be huge. Now, we're not perfect, but we have a very, very high success rate now of getting a great fit on the customer from these photos in a much more pleasant environment. You can take the photos in the comfort of your own home, And if they're not right and we can't use them, we can just give a bit of feedback and somebody can have another go at the photos and we can work at those photos. But our objective, of course, is to give a great fit. I mean, a dry suit is essentially measured on two basic criteria. Does it keep you dry and does it fit you? And a great fitting dry suit makes a huge difference. And for us, bringing that level of technology into the way we make the suits means that we're much more confident about sending a suit to the customer, knowing that they're going to put it on and go, oh, yeah, that's great, and they're excited about getting out there and getting out there. And now that's not to say it's perfect every time. I mean, there are times when we've done a biomat and it hasn't fit the customer. I think I'm not aware of a time when we haven't actually then just made a new suit or got it right, and put it right. I mean, if we make a mistake, we learn from it. We want to get that right. But it's always a learning curve for us, and it becomes a learning experience, especially if we even look even further afield around the world as well. In different countries, the way people wear their dry suits is different, and people have a different expectation for the way it will fit them. And that actually has required us to kind of adjust our expectations and adjust the algorithm that we use to get the right patterns for the suits. So we've learned, and yeah, when we've got it wrong, we've attempted to improve and to get that better and to make the right changes and to respond to the customer. But the nice thing from a dealer's point of view is that at least it's our problem, not the dealer's problem, right, Mike?
Right. Hey, we're all in this together, though, right?
Yeah.
And Mark is saying he's got an Arctic two-piece that's a little bit too baggy, but it's comfortable like a sweatshirt. And he's wondering if he needs his downsize when getting a zero therm, so it fits tighter. And really, that comes down to fit, like we were just talking about with the dry suit. And really, it's even more important, or just as important, in an undergarment, I think. So, Mark, without seeing it on you, if it's that baggy, I think you got the wrong size. I
go down a size. If it's definitely baggy, I'd go down a size.
Yep. It's meant to be tight, Mark. And when you have too much material, you're going to lose some flexibility in your arms, your legs, because you have all this extra material. And you're not going to have the same warmth because you have all these cavities and spaces in the material. It's just, if you got it from us, get in touch with us. We'll get it back in here and get you a different size. But if you can honestly say it's baggy, it's too big in my eyes.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Oh, let's see. Maybe a dumb question, but can you guys do custom cut thermals? That's actually a pretty good question.
That is a really good question. I mean, we've looked at it, and honestly, at the moment, we haven't had too many issues fitting people from our current range, which is something in the region of 19 different sizes in most of the thermals. I mean, Xerotherm and J2. The stretch in the fabric is such that it fits most body shapes pretty well from a limited range of sizes. But we have added, just recently, we've added a women's cut in the Xerotherm as well, and to accommodate some other body shapes as well. But no, we haven't really had too much call for it, and it's not something that we've really done, and it's not something that we've kind of got in the pipeline.
Yeah, John, always let us know if you need something. Steve is saying that his crotch is a little low on his Arctic, and not to interrupt you taking that, but Steve, just so you know, that is actually meant to pull up a lot higher on you. So you may be wearing it at normal pant height on your hips, and it's not really designed for that. It's actually meant to be worn up higher, as well as the top is meant to hang down lower, so they overlap. So when you're stretching, you don't have your belly exposed or anything. And so I'm just wondering if you may just be wearing it like a normal pant, and you got to pull it up a little bit higher so it is snug in the crotch, and that it really should pull up to, Jim, right around the belly button, right?
Yeah, correct. I mean, the rise of the pant is pretty high, and unless you like to wear your undergarments gangster style, then you probably need to go high and accept the fact that it isn't a great look when you're walking around the car park or on the boat. It's not the best look, but it's definitely the best performance.
So, Steve, let us know if you're still watching, or get in touch with us later. Let us know if that solves the issue if maybe you were just wearing it wrong. But yeah, it is definitely meant to be worn higher. So my guess is that might be part of your.
It could be that the inseam. Could be that the inseam is too short as well. In which case, the only quick fix solution, Steve, the only quick fix solution is actually to take a pair of scissors and cut through the stirrups under the foot, and that will then allow it the freedom to come up and sit right in the crotch. And then the ultimate solution to fixing that would be to get a piece of elastic and sew a piece of elastic back into to essentially lengthen the foot stirrup. And then at least it'll sit right in the crotch. That again is something that if you can't do that and you don't know how to do that, then you can easily take it to a tailor or to a dry cleaners and ask them to do that and just put a band of elastic in there to give that extra leg length. It could be that the leg length isn't enough in the inseam.
Yep. And Steve, if you need that done, we can do that too. We've got all that stuff too. So guys, if you can't have a tailor, don't have one near you, we can do that stuff too. Lindsay is wondering about wool socks. Should they be under her hot foot or should they be next to the skin?
Oh yeah. Well, I would say wear your wool socks under your hot foot, Lindsay. I think that wool's really great at creating a nice airspace around your foot, which is great from an insulation point of view. And what you really want is that membrane on the outside of the hot foot sock to be outermost, because then it has the greatest potential to trap the most air to keep your feet as insulated as well as possible. Yep.
Frederick got back to us about that onesie, and he was looking to bridge the gap in the wrist. So Frederick, we'll just touch base on that. They've got the wrist warmers that really do. That's what they're for. They're made to bridge that gap. Kind of covers part of your wrist down to probably mid-level right here.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's two extra layers of the fleece on the inside here, which is all about keeping this part of the arm, this part of the arm here, more insulated. This here, running through your upper arm, your blood that's flowing out to your hand is flowing intramuscularly here, but in the lower part of the arm, it's flowing close to the skin surface. It's why, like, if you get really hot and you want to cool down, you can run your wrists under cold water and it will cool you down really quickly. But what's happening is one of the sort of our biological adaptations to allow our hands to operate at a lower temperature is that cold blood returning from the hand, it gets warmed up by warm blood going out to the hand, which is why your hands get colder so much faster when you're diving. So if you want to insulate the inside of your forearm as much as possible to minimize the heat loss to the external environment, to keep your hands warmer for as long as possible. So across that bridge is a really important thing and really important bit to insulate.
Absolutely. I mean, if anybody just looks at your wrist area, you can see the veins right there. Right. Yeah, you can just see the green. So my daughter is blowing up with smiley faces and everything. So Aubrey, hi, Tucker, Tegan, my wife Nicole, how you guys doing out there? I see a bunch of smiley faces and everything coming through. So everybody, that's my daughter. Feel free to say hi to her.
Hi, Aubrey.
As well. Cristobal is wondering if the undergarments have a relief valve cut in, which we talked about. Some of them do, some of them don't.
Yeah, some of them do, some of them don't. With the Xeratherm and the J2, they don't. We recommend just putting a buttonhole wherever getting a buttonhole put in wherever it works for you. Then in the Arctic Expedition and in the Halo, there is a relief valve hole, and there will be in all future undergarments as well.
Awesome. Scott Mountjoy, I did that when I tore Sealy's having fast, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he's talking about his undergarment staying warm. Steve is blah, blah, blah. Don't mind my blah, blahs, guys. I'm trying to read your comments and figure out what we're going to bring up here. Between the Halo and the Arctic Expedition, which is generally warmer? Great question, Bob. He currently has the Arctic Expedition, loves it, but he hasn't tried the Halo yet, and he's curious if he's missing out on it.
Well, I think if you're trim, if you're always on trim, always horizontal, and that's how you spend your entire dive, then I think maybe you'd feel the benefit from the Halo 3D. The Arctic Expedition is a bit more of an all-rounder in terms of where the insulation is. I personally think that the Halo is warmer, but there are others out there other divers will tell me that no, the Expedition is the way forward in terms of warmth. But I think when when you realize that there's a huge percentage of heat gets lost by the compression of the undergarment here and conduction through the undergarments from the chest and from the thighs, maintaining a third of an inch of air on those areas, but using the Space Tech fabric in the Halo 3D, it is hugely effective and reduces that rate of heat loss. You don't feel quite as hot as you do when you're wearing the Arctic Expedition, though. So there are so many variables there that are to do with the different ways in which we're insulating. In the Arctic Expedition, it's all about multiple layers of fleece in those critical areas, whereas the Halo takes a different approach at maintaining air gaps and air spaces. Yeah,
for anybody that doesn't know what the Halo is, another innovative product you guys came out a few years ago, there are uncompressible panels in certain areas of the suit. So when you are going deeper and you have that compression and pressure from the suit, you are keeping that air layer around your whole body because it's not compressing and pushing that air bubble to your back. So you're able to stay warmer using that air insulation layer around your whole body, as well as the fleece that is built into it. And I have one, I've had it for years and I love it. It's I think it's extremely warm. Sean said he needs something warmer than a Halo 3D. Sean, get some layers. get an XCore. Let's get let's get something else under it, a zero therm or even an Arctic, depending on the temperatures and the depths that you're going. Perry is looking to get a dry suit soon. Any recommendations for the recreational cold water diver of your suits? We talked about biomapping and how you can get a great fit. So explain a little bit of the differences between the suits that you guys offer.
Well, the Argonaut comes in two different forms. Basically, there's the Argonaut Flex, which is a slightly thicker butyl membrane bonded between two polyester layers. It's a little bit fractionally warmer, a little bit tougher. Well, I say that actually we're seeing really great results from the Argonaut Stealth as well in terms of its longevity and its toughness. That's a thinner membrane, a bit more flexibility, a little bit lighter for traveling. If you're going to travel with the suit, certainly it's worth looking at minimizing how much extra you're going to pay for baggage if you're going to be traveling with the suit, and that's certainly where the Argonaut Stealth comes into play. But when you're considering getting into cold water diving, ultimately the proof for this is always going to be can you stay dry? Does the suit fit you well? Can you get enough undergarments underneath? And are you still able to move with those undergarments on? And that's the beauty, I guess, of where the biomap really does come in, because we sort of say, we actually say when you're ordering the suit, we say we kind of size it to fit with a base layer and a halo. If you're going to be going to the Arctic and diving into the ice, or doing long duration cold water dives, then you can tell us, and you're going to need a little bit of extra room, and we'll build a bit of extra room into the suit so you can get those extra layers on under there. Having that ability, that level of control to design your own suit definitely can pay dividends in that respect, especially when thinking about exclusively using it for cold water diving.
Absolutely. Carrie, just get in touch with us. We'll send you out the biomapping kit and the tools, and we can get you sized up real quick too. Christian is wondering, do you happen to have a thermocline there that you can show off?
I don't, I'm afraid. No, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
But it's a really cool product, right? It's a wind resistant, almost neutral fleece-ish product that does not compress. And Christian, just so you know, I kind of call it the wetsuit killer, because neoprene compresses with depth. This stuff doesn't. So, with the 2 mil or is it 1.5 that the thermocline is, or is it?
It's roughly equivalent to a 2 mil, but you're absolutely right, Mike. It doesn't compress. So although, at the surface, it might not be quite as warm as a 3 mil suit, but you get down to 10, 20, 30 meters or, 100 feet. And its thermal protection is exactly what it was at the surface. And many people would say that, it comes into its own when it's down there and it's not compressed and it's still doing its job. But
it's warm.
It's a fleece inner that absorbs and holds the water next to your body. And then, essentially, once you're down at 100 feet, that's all a wetsuit is a membrane which is stopping cold water flowing over your skin. And that's exactly what this is, a membrane with a fleece bonded to it, but that fleece has absorbed and held the water, your body has warmed that up, and then that's acting as a barrier, and the membrane acts as a barrier to the cold water flowing over your skin and chilling you.
And again, I think the first thing I said was the windproof, and I think a lot of people forget about that ride home when they're done diving, and you're on the dive boat, and you've got that 10, 15, 20 mile an hour breeze going past you, you get a little bit of shivers, and this really dampens that tremendously. You know, that wind just isn't getting in. And so just don't think of it just even for diving or snorkeling. Remember, even on the way in, it's going to help keep you a lot warmer and everything too, at least from my experience.
The water will run out as well. I mean, once you get out of the water, the water in the suit runs out pretty quickly, and it will feel only slightly damp to the touch, and then it does reduce the wind chill, really effectively.
Now, Nathan has a question that is right up your alley. As one of the only people actually making a dry glove liner, he's on the quest for the perfect dry glove liner. What do you suggest?
Oh, Nathan, I'm not sure there's a silver bullet here. You know, it would be totally possible to create something where you end up with such limited dexterity, but you've got lovely warm hands. And it's the holy grail that one of them that we've been chasing for some time. We made the G1 glove liner, which was a really light neoprene foam that had plenty of air in it, that was an excellent insulator with a bamboo liner. And it's a fantastic glove, but there are some people that would say that's still not quite enough. We tried to maximize the dexterity. The Xerotherm glove liner now, which we've only recently added, the two can be worn together, although it takes a bit of getting used to. But the Xerotherm itself, the Xerotherm glove liner, is hugely effective. But I'm still not sure that we've quite cracked it for the ultimate dry glove liner yet. We're still working on some stuff.
But I will say, Nathan, if you're not using their wrist warmer, that adds such a big warmth element to the rest of the glove. So if you're not layering it with that, like, your hand will get a lot colder without it versus with it. So if you don't have that on your quest, pick up a set of those from us and try that, because I think that'll probably help a lot, or at least kind of get you closer to where you're needing to be. Christopher is wondering if you guys have any demo days to test out your products. And Christopher, not to steal this comment from Jim, but we are a demo center. Yeah. You know, so if you want to come see us, if you want us to mail you some stuff, we've got all this cool stuff for you guys to try out, whether you're local to us or far away. And not to take away from if you have another dealer, Jim, I'm sure you guys have other dealers that are too. But Christopher, we can do that for you. But back onto the demo tour, is it something you guys are planning on doing, or is it more to try to let the dealers like us get out there and do some of that?
Well, yeah, our initial plan was to try and work with demo centers and test centers around the country and set those up so that people could find somewhere to test the gear, because organizing a demo weekend, there's a lot of logistics in it, especially, as you can tell, I'm in England, and and we have a great team over in the States who do occasional demo events too. But being able to try the product sort of any weekend you like with certain test centers was one of the main ideas behind sort of getting the test center program going. But I think there are definitely going to be opportunities in the future for us to start lining up some more dedicated events. And I said that we've got a great team over there that we've got Pat, who's located in the Midwest, and Ashley, who's looking after the East Coast, and of course Michelle on the West Coast, who she's kind of our national sales coordinator, and those guys are really good at helping customers to find places where they can try stuff as well. If they're not local to dive right in scuba, or they can't get the gear from them, there's always an opportunity to reach out to one of the team and to find out where the products are available for test.
Yeah, great answer. Todd has said he sees that you're doing a dry glove system now, and are you thinking of making a glove out of the same material you make your thermals out of? And
you already do.
The XCore, right? You do on most of it. But what about the XCore? Could that be a good option for a dry glove?
Well, it's
or maybe I spoke too soon, huh?
We're working on it.
So yeah, Todd, I'm sure these guys are playing with that all the time, trying to on their quest too, as Nathan was saying. I'm sure they're on a bigger quest for the perfect dry glove. liner as well as layering and everything out. Anyway, Jay is wondering what the thickness and temp range of the bioprene suit is.
Right. So the first iteration of the surface suit, the bio-rubber suit, it's going to be it's a 4-3, so it's 4 on the body and 3 on the arms, it's kind of the start. And if this is a success, then there'll be other variations in the pipeline to suit most water temperatures.
Jason is wondering how he can get a part of Mission 2020.
Well, if Mission 2020 is originally sort of designed for, or the concept now is for people who are in the dive industry to get involved and change the way they run their businesses and try and drive change as part of a dive community. But individuals, one of the things that you can do is visit the mission2020.org website and click the Get Involved link and sign up as an individual. You get an infographic, if you like, a few suggestions of how we can live a little bit more lightly on the planet in terms of our use of plastics, from the obvious suggestions like, refuse the straw and to bring a reusable coffee cup with you everywhere, through to some of the the slightly more challenging things like giving up your shampoo and getting a shampoo bar instead of using bottled shampoos. Some of the slightly more challenging things that it takes all of us a little while to get used to it. And I think one of the things is making the decision as an individual that you want to change your relationship with plastic, is then a case of not trying to do too much too quickly. We should all have great targets and great goals here, but making small changes, refusing the straw, not using plastic, not accepting a plastic bag in a store, or carrying the coffee cup, and eventually those things become habit forming. And becomes a point where over the last couple of years in my life, I went from not really thinking about the coffee I drank to now being in a situation where if for some reason I haven't got my reusable cup with me, I just don't buy a coffee. I just can't quite get my head around creating the waste, and that's a big change for me. And but it's only a small change. But if we all did it, then it would make a big effect. But it becomes habit forming, and then the next thing becomes habit forming, and it was a bit weird to think about washing my hair with a bar of soap, but it works just well. I think it works just fine. But there are a list of suggestions there, and then we hope as it gathers momentum to start coming up with some more ideas about how we can do things. Beach cleanups, underwater beach cleans, get involved with those. I mean, that's another great way to get stuck in. Project Aware are doing all sorts of amazing things. A lot of other organizations are organizing local dive site cleanups, and it's just incredible what comes out of quarries and rivers as well. And you only have to think about the plastic that ends up in the ocean that we all become so aware of these challenges, become so aware of these risks. The plastic that's there has got to come from somewhere, and most of it comes down the waterways, out of rivers and from lakes. And so clean up wherever you are can have an impact on what ends up in the ocean. So that's a very personal choice and a very personal thing that you can do.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. It starts with you, Jason. CJ is wondering about the G1 liner versus Aerotherm liner. I think you talked about it briefly. We're obviously a little bit behind on our comments, but
no, that's all right. I mean, I think that the G1 liner is. I like to think of it almost like as an insurance policy against if your dry glove leaks or your dry glove fails, you get a puncture.
I've used it so many times when it's warmer. I don't want to put my dry gloves on. I just wear those.
So they've got enough thermal protection, and they do work very well when they're wet. The Xerotherm is definitely much more about moisture management, but the warmth is difficult to compare them. I think on balance, probably the G1 is warmer, but the Xerotherm is very, very good at managing the perspiration, managing moisture, and in that sense is very, very much more comfortable before the dive as well when you're getting ready.
They work. Scott has a whites with a round glove system, and he's wondering if you can use the Fourth Element oval on it. And my guess is no, right? Unless we swap out his round to an oval wrist system.
Yeah, I think I know the white system, and I think that would probably involve needing to glue a new PU ring onto the inside.
Same as the SciTech round.
Yeah.
So
it's the same, is it?
Yeah.
So if it's a soft ring, if it's a soft ring on the suit, it should be possible to change.
Yeah, but I think the inner hard ring on the oval is a different diameter than the hard ring in the round, which would be weird because if it was the same, you could easily just make it oval.
Well, what I'll do is I'll check and I'll get back to you, Mike, and you can pass it on.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll find out, Scott. Gail's wondering if you're thinking about any rear zip dry suits in the future.
Yes, is the short answer. There, we actually launched. We showed one for the first time at DEMA, and we've been showing it at consumer shows over here in Europe. And in fact, we've got another show this weekend in the UK where we'll be showing it, a back zip neoprene dry suit called the Hydra. It's a 4 mil high density neoprene suit. So that's in the pipeline for later this year. So we have launched one. It's not in stores yet, but it's in the pipeline.
CJ is wondering if you can compare your rings to some of the other ones out there, like the waterproof Ultima or the Kubi fitted rings. And I think they work the same, but you guys have one advantage that you are keeping that oval shape, which is nice and streamlined and compact, where the Ultima takes the oval and makes it round, and the Kubi is just round. So, I mean, I think you guys have advantage on streamlined and everything.
Well, I think that's what we were really keen to preserve. I mean, but both those products I think are fantastic. I think they work really well. I think the disadvantage of the round is that it is bulky. It isn't quite as ergonomic. It isn't quite as intuitive when you're moving around with it, and that's certainly the main advantage. There are some small differences between the way in which we achieve our seal with the O-rings. It makes it a little bit easier for us to protect the O-ring to ensure that it will work every time. But frankly, I think both those systems are really great and beautifully designed, both of them. But I think that the elliptical shape was the thing that we were mad keen to make sure we got right and kept from that ease of use point of view.
Which is perfect. Hey Paul, how are you? Joellen says she's going to draft a sketch that was with the hips and the.
Oh, cool, great.
Let's see. Nathan says a little Thai food before the dive, you'll stay nice and toasty. Got everybody in the office laughing with that one, Nathan. Good one. Chris says, any advice to stop dry suit shrinkage? Mine just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Well, maybe you should take Nathan's advice. Have some Thai food instead of the steaks you're eating.
I think it's just you just got to drop the carbs, man. That's all it is.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. CJ, again, I'm a commercial diver and love fourth element undergarments. I have a ton of them and dive them every day. We use hyper-compressed crushed neoprene and find them less buoyant than tri-lambs and tougher too. But most of all, they stretch, which means that we can dive with less air in the suit and still maintain a ton of mobility, assuming that we wear stretchy undergarments by fourth element. Any plans to create a dry suit that would work for us? Well, you said you got a compressed neoprene coming.
That's right. Yeah, our objective with the design of this suit was actually to cut it as close as possible to the body, so that there's really room for the Arctic and at most an Arctic, but usually Xerathan with maybe a couple of it, maybe an XCore vest or something like that underneath, so that there's it's as streamlined as possible and to get the benefit of the stretch from with the neoprene suit. But there's good stretch in the neoprene, good freedom of movement. So possibly we come up with something that may well work.
Yeah. Matt Toops is saying his dry suit shrank a little bit too. So I don't know. Maybe there's an epidemic out there. We'll discuss that next time we meet, Matt. We love our food. Paul is wondering if my shirt is for sale. Paul, if you want it, I will sign it and send it to you, my man.
There's a much less expensive one unsigned.
There you go. CJ is wondering if you're thinking about a Xerotherm one piece.
No, we haven't. I mean, to be brutally honest, we actually make one for a commercial diving applications that we haven't really brought to the recreational market. And the reason for that is probably historical. Is that when we first brought Xeratherm to the market, which was in 2001, when we first brought it to the market, everything was all about onesies. Nobody made a two-piece anything, and we kind of brought the Xeratherm and then the Arctic and the two-piece to the market. That and everybody looked at us that like we had two heads. Like, why would anybody want a two-piece undersuit, an undergarment? And so I'm
6'3". I love it. Everything else right up my crotch.
But so we resisted that sort of we resisted bringing it to the market, and we haven't really found that many people have felt that the two-piece system has let them down enough to warrant going with a one-piece Xeratherm. The one-piece Arctic, yeah, we did bring to the market, and of course the Halo needed to be a one-piece in order to kind of position the compression-resistant panels exactly where we needed them to go, because having mapped the body where we wanted those things to go, we had to make sure we put it in the right place every time, and didn't want to have too much fluctuation with the two-piece system. But I mean, it's a never say never sort of situation again. But honestly, we've had so few people ask for it that it hasn't really sort of figured on the radar.
Now, CJ said he was a commercial diver too. Is there any chance, CJ, if you wanted to buy a handful or two of them, we could probably get those, is what I'm hearing there? Maybe, Paul, maybe we can get a special order for CJ through us?
Possibility, Mike. I'll have to see where we are with what we've got, but certainly they're not in our US inventory. They would only be in our UK inventory, so it would take a little bit of time, but it's certainly possible.
CJ, let me know, what quantities maybe think about. Maybe we can put something together and get a market here going based on you. Gail says, who needs undergarments for a 5-hour dive in 72-degree caves? Gail, you're crazy. It's cold. Cold. Oh, let's see. Gregory says he needs to do the biomapping. Yes, you do. You will love the fit, the feel, and the comfort not only of the biomapping, but in a fourth element suit. There are incredible suits. Mark is wondering what undersuit for 35-degree quarry diving. Layers.
Layers. 35. Yeah, well, I think you're kind of into the same territory, almost of ice diving, but I would say a Xeratherm and a Halo, or a Xeratherm and an Arctic Expedition would probably be my. And then then treat yourself and get an XCore vest.
Yeah, I was gonna say if that doesn't work at the XCore, toss that in there. You'd be toasty for sure. Oh, let's see. Craig, are you considering doing the biofit that you do with your dry suits for your wetsuits?
We're not at the moment, but we are looking into it for some of the more extreme circumstances, particularly looking at free diving suits and thinking about is it applicable for that. Generally speaking, the stretch of neoprene is enough that, again, with I think 19 sizes, we do fit most, not all. I mean, not all body shapes, and we're always working on that and adding sizes when we need to, rather than looking at the biomap side of things.
Lindsay is wondering what material is the ear warmer made from? Is it like the Xeratherm, the Arctic, or what?
I'm pretty sure it's made with the same material as the lining of the Arctic. Yeah.
Mark says the only problem up here in the north is the fine line of not being cold and not getting heat stroke before you get in the water. There's nothing quite like suiting up in the Arctic and putting on a tri-lam when it's 103 degrees out, then hopping in a lake that drops to 40 degrees at the bottom. Mark, the struggle is real, man. All I can say is put on the undergarment, put that suit on, and hop in the water real quick and cool off. That's what I do, and that's what we tell people to do all the time. Go cool off, let the suit cool off, your body cool off for a second, then get back out of the water, then put on your BCD or backplate and wing or doubles, and then go in for your dive. Don't struggle too much with that heat stroke on the surface because, yeah, it can be much. Go hop in the water real quick, cool off, put on your gear, and then go dive would be my suggestion. Oh, let's see. Everyone's saying hi to my daughter. Very nice of you guys. Is this live, Brennan? No, it's not pre-recorded. It didn't start up right, but no, this is live right now.
We are that good.
Take another drink of your beer. Show them how live this is. Peroni down the hatch.
Yeah.
No, Brandon, this is real. We had some issues on the startup, and it was not working. But no, we have never pre-recorded one. I believe there's about a 10-second, 12-second delay. Augie's doing the randomizer, but no, never pre-recorded. This is all live. That's how we're answering everybody's questions live. Looks like some people have already gotten back saying it's live also. Lindsay's wondering, how do you come up with the names for the products?
Oh, well, if you could only be a fly on the wall, Lindsay, it's possibly the longest part of the product development cycle is finding a name. Some of them come easy. Like, I mean, Xeratherm actually was one of those early ones that came very, very easily. But yeah, it can be quite a struggle to come up with the names. It takes, it takes some persistence, and eventually we get there. But yeah.
I know it's the hardest part. We come out with products, and I swear it is a struggle all the time. I mean, I've got some named the Stubby because they're short and fat. I mean, it's stupid names. I don't know. It's complicated. Scott is wondering if the wrist warmers go over the glove liner or next to the skin.
Next to the skin. Yeah.
How big do your men's sizes go? John is a crew on some dive boats and must be a little bit bigger than some other guys. So how big do men's sizes go?
Depends on the product. Obviously, in a dry suit, it's as big as you are. But in the most of our products now, it's a XXL. In some, it's only to a XX in the men's, but the vast majority it's a XXX is the biggest size that we do.
Let's see here. Oops, somebody said they lost the feed again. That's odd. Sorry, guys. Software, but we're back, I guess. Tracy is wanting to get the J2 in some other colors. Is that an option? Something you guys are thinking about?
It's not. It's not something that necessarily we're. It's not something we're necessarily working on right now, but we are working on some other base layer options, which may well include some other colors as well.
Very cool. Or a girl J2 without the zipper right where my inflator is.
Yeah, that is a yes. There's
taken.
Yeah, point taken. And I mean, actually, that was one of the main reasons why we went with a women's Xeratherm model as well. The Xeratherm design as well was in order to have something without the zip, because there were a lot of comments from women that they didn't want to have the zipper there. Some love it, some hate it, and for some it's in the wrong place, and for some it's just fine. But yeah, the women's design of the Xeratherm base layer without the zipper was kind of an answer to that criticism. But it is a little bit thicker. It's not quite the same thing as the J2.
All right. I still rock the women's dry base. Maybe behind ball is a good thing. Do the thermals come in blue? You guys on this blue. So we had Dive Right on a few episodes ago, and everybody wants them to come out with a blue fin. And now everybody's just talking. They want everything in blue now.
Blue. Blue is the new black. Yeah.
Blue is the new black.
Okay.
So I think everybody wants blue.
All right.
They want me to give away my shirt every week now. I will think about that, Nathan. Maybe we can get into something else. This isn't meant to be a strip show. But maybe we'll figure out how to get some T-shirts in here as a prize for you guys. Maybe we'll put my big old ugly face on it for you, and we'll raffle that off at the end too. Who knows? You guys crack me up out there. Let's see. Just rolling through here. CJ saying thanks. Best in the business. All of our divers are big fans of Fourth Element stuff across the board. And Driz is the only company that touches our dry suits. Thank you, CJ. And we did a fantastic job making some custom stuff for him. That's always good to hear. We do a lot of that stuff. We work on decompression chambers, all kinds of fancy stuff back there. We have a good time. Are we still live? I think some people, we must have been broken up there sometime. So I don't know what people missed, but we are back. They're talking about blue. And hey, guess what, guys? No more comments. We have had the most comments we have ever had on this show, Jim.
All
222 at this point in time. So, nice. Wow, that's a lot of questions. And And guys, again, my notes did not even get looked at. You know, we hit some of the key points, but you guys led the direction of this. Brandon, that's how live it is. You guys are the ones steering this conversation. We just answer questions and keep it rolling. So Augie should have the randomizer done and ready to go. So we are going to give away this XCore set first, and we will leave the first production set of the Ellipse dry gloves, because whoever wins is getting the first one. We will even have Jim sign it for you.
It's just going to lower the value of it, Mike. It's going to lower the value.
You never know. So, Augie, did you send me that information? G-chat. Let me get my email open over here. And how'd you send it to me? It didn't come through yet. Let me refresh it here. And we've got there it is. All right, let me get this up on the screen here. And I don't know if anybody noticed last time on the randomizer, but there was an ad for Leisure Pro on it. How funny is that? So most people wouldn't tell you that, but I don't really care. So this week it looks like there's a Jeep ad at the bottom. So we are going to get rid of Jim and I a little bit. We're going to make the randomizer a little bit bigger here. So here we go. Hopefully you guys can see that. This is for the XCore set, which is a vest top and pants on the bottom. We are going to spin to win here. Here we go, guys. Again, thank you for all your questions and comments and everything. And yeah, Nathan, thanks, there you go. You got XCore. Nathan, if I recall, you're the one that's wanting to eat some spicier foods. Please do not do that with this undergarment in your dry suit. You may pass out when you hit the surface. All right, so now going for the Ellipse dry glove system. Spin number 2, everybody. John says he supports the G-Pad. There you go. And spinning the win here for the unreleased system. Woo! Sean Hassler, good job. Congratulations, Sean. Congratulations to all of you for tuning in, even despite the issues that we have somehow had with the electronics and the software and internet land. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for tuning in. 229 comments later. We love you guys. Jim, it is 10:30 your time.
That's right.
Thanks for sticking in with us. Thanks.
My pleasure. Thanks very much, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been really great, and thanks for the questions.
Yeah, we love you guys. Thanks for everything, and we'll talk to you later. Have a good one.
Thanks. Cheers. Bye.